Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland Reviewer, and welcome to Lost in the Wasteland. And things look a little bit different this week for Lost in the Wasteland because this is my show where I interview people about their perspective on films. And because of some scheduling issues and a thought of planning on doing this for a while now, I decided that this week I was going to do a very special episode. So I'm not interviewing anybody. I'm giving my answers to these questions. And obviously, if you've watched all of my episodes up to this point, I've alluded to my answers and talked a little bit about them. But I knew at some point I was probably going to do an actual video where I gave my answers to these questions. And I'm not going to try to set up where like somebody's interviewing me for it. I'm just going to talk right to all of you. So sit back, relax, and welcome to Lost in the Wasteland, Shane Kanto edition. So you get to hear the answers, full thought out answers from your Wasteland Reviewer to all of the questions that I get to ask everybody else on a weekly basis. So what is my favorite film? So I'm going to be that guy. Lord of the Rings, I feel like, is one story. And if you're going to make me pick one, I'm going to pick The Return of the King. And I feel like Lord of the Rings as a whole is the most impressively realized live-action fantasy film or films ever. It is so incredible that Peter Jackson, through all of the practical effects, the really impressive computer-generated effects, the cinematography from Andrew Lesnie, just all bringing together this world of Middle-earth that is so engrossing and so fully realized, full of great characters, from our hobbits to the rest of the Fellowship, personal favorite Gimli of mine, always a dwarf fan of Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth and the Hobbit, so playing Lord of the Rings The Third Age, always love playing as Hadhood. Gimli's definitely my favorite. But these films are films that I would say are some of the most perfectly balanced films ever created. Thanos would be so proud, because everything about them works. Yes, there's films, and the Academy showed there's films where the acting was more dynamic and deeper and more interesting performances, except Andy Serkis should get recognition for Gollum, because that's BS. And I will die on this hill that either motion capture performances should be included in those categories, or you should make one specifically for it. We're at that point. Do it. But anyway, there's other films that, like Mystic River obviously won a whole bunch of acting awards over Return of the King. Return of the King still won 11 Academy Awards, which is BS. That didn't even get nominated for cinematography. Didn't even get nominated. The beacon lighting scene in Return of the King is one of the most amazingly beautifully shot sequences, and Howard Shore's music is just so impeccable and just brings everything together. And the Return of the King is just that cathartic payoff to this wonderful trilogy, which Two Towers avoids that middle trilogy awkwardness of not feeling a fully realized story. How they structured it around Helm's Deep was perfect, and having that payoff to build into the next film. The Fellowship is one of the most wonderfully created adventure films of all time. And Return of the King is indeed a war film with the largest battle sequence in the history of cinema up to that point. I don't know if it's been topped. And Lord of the Rings just works on such a deep level for me. I can sit down and all day just watch the three of them together, including the extended editions. But I'm not the hugest fan of the Hobbit films, so I'm definitely not going to do a whole Middle-earth thing. But Lord of the Rings means so much to me, and it's so amazing. What is my earliest memory of going to the movies? This is interesting because Space Jam's coming out, the new one, because why the hell are they making another Space Jam movie? But I know I saw Indian in the Cupboard in a one-screen movie house in my hometown in Hand Township, New Jersey, when I was really little. But the one that I do remember actually being at is Space Jam. And I still love watching that movie. It is nostalgic, it's fun, it's the Looney Tunes, and they're so much fun. And I remember being there as a kid. Some of the more profound ones that really left a mark on me was obviously seeing Fellowship of the Ring for the first time and only seeing the first 2 hours because my aunt didn't plan well and I had a basketball game I had to go to and I missed out on the last hour of the movie. And then Shrek. Shrek, definitely. I was 10 years old and just soaked that in. And seeing the Harry Potter films, really remember seeing Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets for my birthday in 2002. So I was 11. So those are some of the ones that really made an impact on me. What's my favorite genre? At this point, it's definitely science fiction. I love where you can take these big ideas, these huge concepts, these crazy different kinds of things, whether you're going on to space or dystopias or machines, robophobe over here, and being able to do such amazing stories and metaphorical representations of themes and ideas through these amazingly created worlds. I also love fantasy, but consistently live action fantasy isn't very consistently successful. You have to go to animation to really see it, but science fiction, whether it's like dystopias and post-apocalyptic things like Mad Max or 2001: A Space Odyssey, this high concept science fiction, Ex Machina, Annihilation for some newer ones, like the Marvel movies, and it's such a range of different kinds of things you could get out of science fiction. Like, I even loved watching like the original Time Machine, Soylent Green, and Forbidden Planet, and all those different kinds of things takes you to a new place, a new world, that you can see the future, but still feel what's important today. And that's why I love science fiction so much. Favorite filmmaker? If you couldn't tell by watching the first like 16, 17 episodes or so of Welcome to the Wasteland, it's the Coen brothers. And the reason that is their humor, that dry, dark wit, is on my frequency perfectly. And they're so idiosyncratic, and I'm dialed into it. It works so well for me. And they're not the most eclectic in terms of different kinds of films that they make, but they have some great range. And you get different kinds of Coens. You get the fun, Raising Arizona, Big Lebowski kind of thing. You get the musical aspects, which like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Inside Llewyn Davis, Ballad of Buster Scruggs, hit on those. You have the deeply thematic and character-driven, engrossing dramas like Barton Fink and Inside Llewyn Davis, A Serious Man. And you have the darkly funny but intense thrillers of Fargo and No Country for Old Men. And so, like, you throw in, like, I love Intolerable Cruelty and True Grit and everything else in between. I love almost all their films. I don't quite love Hudsucker Proxy or Lady Killers, but the majority of their films I love. And their sensibilities, and what I love so much is the characters. Every character is a memorable character for the most part in almost every Coen Brothers film. Look at all the characters in No Country for Old Men. The lady at the trailer park is like, we don't give out that information. Or you have Big Lebowski is a perfect example. Every single character has personality and memorability and just something special about them. And they have some of my favorite actors that populate their films. John Goodman is one of my favorites. And you know what? Let's segue into it, because my favorite actors, this is going to sound odd, I love Charlton Heston. There is a presence about Charlton. There was a presence about Charlton Heston. The Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur, he carried those epics and that screen. And his role as Judah Ben-Hur is one of my favorite performances of all time. There's a seething intensity that he brings to the screen and brought to the screen in his performances, even stuff like Soylent Green and the Omega Man. And I love Charlton Heston. I love John Goodman. John Goodman is like from ranging of having one of my favorite characters of all time, Walter Sobchak from Big Lebowski, to 10 Cloverfield Lane, where he's so intense and terrifying. And I never watched Roseanne, but like from what I could see, like clips and stuff, he's just like an endearing and lovable guy, and he has that range. He plays that balance in Barton Fink that works so well for that film. I love Jeff Bridges. You get three kinds of Jeff Bridges. You get like the Rooster Cogburn kind of Jeff Bridges. You get the dude, man. And then you get some intensely horrifying villains in Obadiah Stane and Clue in Tron Legacy. There's an intensity about him too, and he's just such a talented guy and so much fun. I just love Jeff Bridges. And actress-wise, I love Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews was my biggest crush when I was a kid, and she is so talented, whether it's Mary Poppins or Sound of Music. I love Angela Lansbury, and even out of film, like her role as Mrs. Lovitz is the Mrs. Lovitz. Sorry, hello Bowman Carter, you're no Angela Lansbury. But like hearing her sing Beauty and the Beast, wow, it's amazing. And even just little things like in Mary Poppins Returns, Nowhere to Go But Up. And just like little things like that. I love Saoirse Ronan is my favorite actress working right now. And she is so talented and has done so much in such a young career. And anything that she pops up in, I'm definitely down for. And then also I love Vera Farmiga from like with The Departed, and Ed and Lorraine in the Conjuring movies make those movies for me, and she is fantastic. Up in the Air, though, she is so great in that as well. Now, what's a film I could literally watch every day? 100% Shrek. You know, like in I Am Legend, where Neville can like recite Shrek from start to finish? That's me. Shrek 2, I could watch them any day, just throw them in. Step Brothers is probably another one, and the one that definitely from Adam McKay and Will Ferrell is The Other Guys. I could watch that any day and just love it. I could throw in Mad Max Fury Road as well and just go on that insane ride for 2 hours. But if I'm going to pick any one, it's definitely Shrek. What's a film that connects closely to another interest of mine? I'm going to talk about a couple here, and one is definitely Major League. I'm a huge baseball fan, and I could talk about baseball a lot. Like, I talk to my brother about baseball a lot. And Major League is hilarious, but it captures that baseball movie feel so well, and I just love every second of it. And like Field of Dreams captures the beauty and the spirit of baseball, so that's something that I love as well. And like A League of Their Own, I had just rewatched that. That also scratches that itch. But I also love to read and love music, and that's where some documentaries really come in. The Booksellers was a documentary last year that like really brought me in. And documentaries like Rush Beyond the Lighted Stage is one of my favorite documentaries of all time, and I love Rush so much. And it's just an amazing experience taking this deep dive into their career and to them as people and giving that extra layer of appreciation for it. What movie character do you connect with on a personal level? So I'm going to talk about Charlie, the main character from Perks of Being a Wallflower. Now, I'm going to preface this. I have not been through the same kinds of things that this character has that as you watch that film, which I will not give away, but if you haven't seen it and haven't read the book, you should, because they're amazing. But I always felt like that kid. I got voted nicest to everybody in high school. I was that unassuming kid that really loves people, but takes a lot out of me. And I watch that film and just feel that connection that he has with his friends, but maybe not always knew how to like really express that to them. And he's so thoughtful and meaningful in the ways that like he has that connection with the books that he has with it, which having Paul Rudd as your English teacher would be like the coolest thing ever, by the way. But also, quick side note, should include this earlier, a movie that connects to you because of personal interest of yours, I Love You Man, because I want to be friends with them and go to all the Rush concerts that I wish that we could still go to. But anyway, so this character fits how I am with people so well. And I remember watching that in college for the first time and being like, holy crap, this is me in many ways. And it shocked me by the time I got to the end of the film. But like, I've definitely had those moments that he's had with having this connection with somebody. And, you know, he feels so real and relatable. And I've definitely felt that wallflower kind of feel of things. I've definitely opened up a lot more. Obviously, I hop in front of a camera and talk at it all the time. But going into college, I said like high school, I said like 10 sentences a day. I was a quiet kid and I didn't really have friends. And like, I wish that I had friendship like he has in that film in high school, but luckily I was able to have those kinds of experiences in college and post-college. But I definitely connect with him. Now, what film do you love that would surprise people? So, I don't have films that I would consider guilty pleasures because I don't really feel guilty about watching anything and enjoying anything, but Me Before You, I have that right behind me, is a film that I saw with my friend Kevin because I got a free screening, and it's two 20-something-year-old guys showing up to Me Before You, and we both loved it. And it's so charming, and like Emilia Clarke and Sam Claflin are too charismatic and so charming, and like it's really melodramatic and cheesy at times in that way, but like I love it. I could just watch the two of them, and one of the comments that Sam Claflin makes to Emilia Clarke's boyfriend, aka Neville from Harry Potter in it, is like the best thug life video ever. And I want somebody to make it because it's just their chemistry's off the charts. And like, I fell in love with Emilia Clarke's character within like 5 minutes of the start of the movie. I'm just like, wow. And it's just well, I won't call it fun as the movie gets on, but like, it's fun watching them connect with each other and enjoying their presence on screen. But what do I love most about movies? Getting lost in a film, going to a theater, which I would go 4 or 5 times a week before COVID. I'm starting to get things back. I went 3 times last weekend. Went to go see F9, the Fast Saga, yesterday. I love sitting in a theater, dark room, phone off, just getting lost in this world created on the screen. And it could be an otherworldly world. It could just be another person's world. Because we all have our own worlds and perspectives. And just being lost in it and connecting with it. And obviously, as I've done reviews and stuff like that, my movie watching is different. Like, you go in with a different perspective on things. Sometimes I wish that I wasn't thinking about those things all the time and just, like, sitting there enjoying it. But, like, yesterday, I sat in that theater and watched F9 and didn't love it. But, like, it was a dumb, fun time. And just being able to sit there and being lost and in their world, these characters, their feelings, their troubles, and just being lost in it and escape. Cinema has always been an escapism for me, and I love being able to get lost in it. And those are all the questions. And normally I wrap things up with the wild card of somebody asking the Wasteland Reviewer question, and I ask myself, what do I plan on doing more with my channel? And like I have my new The Wasteland Reviewer and the Dante Rose Show with my brother that's going to be coming out every other Thursday. I still have the Development Hell podcast. I have Welcome to the Wasteland where I dive into a particular film. And I really want to continue Lost in the Wasteland and continue to interview people, and it's so much fun. That was one of my highlights of COVID and quarantine, was starting this show to connect with people and new people. Because like I've made so many great friends through SiftPop and nice connections through Scribe and Scribe Magazine and even just Filmstagram in general. And it's wonderful being able to connect with people in a new way. And like I was thinking about, like, could I do a show that focuses on other things outside of movies and TV? I don't know if there's something that people would be interested in. Or like I thought about like a rundown show each week where it's like, this is what I've been watching, this is what I recommend kind of thing. That's more summation instead of you all having to watch like every single ridiculous amount of reviews that I put up, because I do. Or trying to find, like, I would love to connect with somebody else and do a show, another show with other people, but, you know, scheduling things is always fun. But I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but I have 380 subscribers as of recording this video, and I know I haven't jumped up very quickly in terms of subscribers over the past 5 years, but, like, I'm really proud of almost hitting 400. And, like, I can't believe that so many people watch these videos and connect with them, and all I care about is spreading the word of movies, and hopefully people check out the movies that I talk about, especially the smaller ones, and because they deserve it, and they need the support too, because people will complain, especially cinephiles, oh, we're getting our Marvel movies and big budget movies, but the thing is, you gotta go to the movies to see these movies or rent them on VOD. That's how we see them. That's how they get made. So support them. But I'm getting off my soapbox. Maybe I'll have a new show coming up. You never know. But I appreciate all of you tuning in and always supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.